I'm Jennifer Schlickburn, the game pioneer from Game Brain Podcast. I'm here today to talk about Ark Nova, the zoo game that we've been playing quite a bit in the last 10 days or so. Ark Nova is a board and card game. It's about a zoo, and what's nice, at least for those of us who care about zoos, is that it reflects both the animals in the zoo, but it also reflects conservation activities to bring the animals back to the wild or to try to protect them if they're endangered. In fact, on all the cards, for the endangered species, it will state that. For the most part, the animals are properly assigned. An ape is a primate, or a turtle is a reptile. However, there's one glaring exception, and that is that the koala is classified as a bear. Here in the States, at least, we all talk about koala bears, but they're not bears, they're marsupials. But they didn't have a marsupial class, which is kind of, but I guess because they included Australia as a continent, then they decided not to force all the players to get Australia to get the marsupials. So there's plenty of how to play and, play along videos. So I'm just going to tell you my experience with the game and how I feel about it. So we've played, like I said, about maybe 5 or 6 times. It's very clear that 4 players is not a great player count because the game is not heavily interactive. You have your own player board, your own tableau. If you use the Venom or the Take That cards, as I call them, then there's some interaction. But I don't play with the Take That cards, not because, I'm worried about being attacked or whatever. I'm an old diplomacy player. You can't get attacked any worse than you can in diplomacy. It more feels like people draw them randomly, and then you get randomly hit with a negative card, and that just doesn't seem to add much to the game, at least not for me. So the game has been taking us maybe 2 to 3 hours, depending on how many newbies are in the game. It's very heavily card-based. There's over 200 cards in the game, and it's completely random as to what cards you will get. At the beginning of the game, you get 8 cards and you discard down to 4, which helps, it helps somewhat, but, your opening cards, in my opinion, generally don't tell you, this game is going to be a great game and I'm going to be real competitive, or this game is going to be horrible. Basically because you can flow through a ton of cards in this game. I will say this, though. What happened to me one time, I got the 8 cards, and there are some pretty good animals, so I discarded a couple of sponsors. I saw one sponsor for the entirety of the whole game. And it's like, However, that only happened once, and I don't think it's going to happen with any great frequency. So, in the game, everybody is playing cards. The game uses a couple of mechanics that we've seen before. There are 2 tracks in the game that come together like this. As those of you who have played Rogers of the Ganges have seen before. And then you have an action selection. You have 5 action cards, and it's the exact same system that Civilization New Dawn uses, where you have 5 in a row, and the strongest action is furthest to the right. And once you take that action, then it goes all the way to the far left, and it will be the weakest action. It's good. It's a very good mechanic. I'm happy to see it reused here. I think we're going to see it reused more in the future because it's very solid and it gives the player a feeling of control. So I was very pleased to see it here. On your turn, like I said, you're going to play cards. You can play 3 kinds of cards. You can play animal cards, you can play sponsor cards, or you can play conservation cards. Also on the board, there's a complete board, of course, that will have 5 cards out. And what's cool, really cool, that I really like, because I'm not a big fan of Market Row, but in this case, the 5 cards that are out aren't necessarily cards that you can take. At the beginning of the game, you can only take them if your card's action is in the far right 5th slot, and then that allows you to take 1 from any of the open cards. If you upgrade your card action, then you can take any card that is within your reputation range. As you play, you'll up your reputation. Upping your reputation does not give you direct victory points, but it does help. So instead of, okay, I'll draw these 2 and 2 more come up and wow, I just gave the next player some great cards. This doesn't work that way, and I'm very happy about that. I don't know about these long vertical boxes because they and my table mat don't seem to want to be friendly, but I'll keep at it. So, there aren't many rules, really. I would say the teach shouldn't take you more than half an hour because the actions are all right in front of you. You can see what you can do. The cards are generally self-explanatory, noting that there's a glossary that comes with the game. So if you have any questions about the cards seem to be relatively balanced, but, there are public objectives. And if your cards match up with those objectives, woo! If they don't, I have seen people win without doing all of the objectives, but still, if the cards match up with those objectives, I believe that you're in an advantaged position, and there's not necessarily a lot you can do about that. Part of the game strategy, I think, is to understand that you need more cards. There isn't a hand limit per se, although every time there is a break, a mechanic called break, then you're going to have to discard down to 3 cards or 5 cards if you got that ability. So that's a little touchy, and for me, it's kind of an issue. Many people compare this to Terraforming Mars, a game that I don't like, never have liked, and probably never will like. And part of it is because of that same issue. So sometimes playing the game feels random. He got that card, which gives him 3 money for every, primate, and the objectives give you conservation points, which is the ones that you really want for primates, and then he plays, or they play, a card that also gives them conservation points for primates. And that, I don't know, that just doesn't feel great. At the same time, it is certainly an experience kind of a game. You go, okay, well, just because I don't have those, maybe I'll go for a large animal zoo, or I'll go for a petting zoo, or, you set your own goals instead of worrying about being super competitive. So, it is a good game. It's not my game of the year, but my game of the year is Imperial Steam. But, I'm certainly going to keep it, and I expect to play it quite a bit in the next year or so. I do recommend, if you think you would like it, you should get it. Hopefully, the third parties will come along and give us some nice inserts and maybe some piece upgrades. We'll have to see, because Feurland is already in their third printing of this game, and the game hasn't even reached the US yet, so it's going to be really popular. So, in the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing videos for Radlands, Batoku, which we've played twice now and really like, Origins, First Builders, and Tabanusi. As I feel like I have to play the games, 4 or 5 times before doing a video. So, it may be a few weeks in between, but I won't forget. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave comments or ask questions in the comment section. Have a happy New Year and a great day. Thank you.